guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. We are doing Finnish Brutality today. This is 2026, day one. We're just going to jump straight into it. Stage one, frontal assault, sponsored by Saco, of course, premier rifle manufacturer in Finland. And this stage begins with a Saco TRG loaded with one round. You have to make a hit on that little tiny plate, which I successfully do. Then sprint down to the end of the stage, making some shots along the way. So I have a separate video on my loadout for the match here, but the short version is I'm using a Stanzel SAK-21, a very high-end American-made AK, as my rifle. However, you will see throughout the video, I did handicap myself a bit by using surplus steel mags in it, which in retrospect, not a great plan. However, it ends up working just fine for me. Here, I have an unmagnified, just a plain Aimpoint T2 on the rifle, and this is the 300-meter bay, and I'm able to make hits there at about 200 and here at something like 150 or 100, really without any problems at all. This was a really great way to start off this match. This first stage, of course, is based on making hits and sprinting. How well can you make hits when you are nicely winded? So the second shooting position here ends with you removing the magazine and having one shot opportunity at one of the targets. Once you make that shot, of course, your rifle is 100% guaranteed empty. And so the 180 safety rule no longer applies. Hence, you can hold it however you like, as I'm doing here, on your sprint back to the end of the bay. The suppressor I have on the rifle, I did not have in my main gear loadout video because I actually got it here on site. It is a silent steel suppressor. Actually, a really cool suppressor. I'm going to be getting one of them here in the US and doing some video on it because it really does have some pretty cool features that I just haven't seen on any other suppressors in the US. So the suppressor worked great in the match. I don't know if it's the quietest thing ever, but it does a really nice job of taming the muzzle blast from what is otherwise a 12.5-inch AK. Now, back here at 300, it did take me a couple shots to get my hits on those silhouettes. Not so much the rifle as the aim point on there, I think, and the lack of magnification. So there we go. This was a great way to start out the match. I finished without parring out. I actually did really well on this stage. The Finnish Brutality is bigger than ever this year. 291 total participants, 195 of them in Armored Division, as I am. That, of course, means you're carrying at least 12 kilos or about 25 pounds of armor and gear. All right, Stage 2, Bunker Buster, sponsored by B&T, Swiss Awesome Firearms, and Asatalo Oy, which is a fantastic little gun shop in Finland. So, similar to our first stage, this is up on, I believe, a 200-meter bay. We're going to make some relatively close-range hits here at first, which I am able to do with absolutely no problem with the Stanzel. It is an incredibly smooth shooting, nice shooting rifle. I also managed to get the bonus shot there. Once again, remove the magazine and you have one shot at a target to get a bonus and render the rifle safe. Now, we have a B&T GL06 grenade launcher. You fire a chalk round, and if it hits the net, you can just kick the door to this bunker in. Otherwise, you have to bring a breaching tool over with you and use it. I did make the hit, so this becomes just a matter of hitting targets and then running ammo cans out to the middle of the bay. So there are 3 targets here. You have to hit each of them from each of the 2 shooting slots in this barricade wall. That was the first one, and now we have the second set here. Once you do that, you have 2 ammo cans inside the bunker, and you have to take one of them out to the resupply point in the middle of the bay, which I will proceed to do here. You then run back. You're going to repeat this process several times. You bring the second can out, bring the first can back, and then bring the second can back. This was a stage that a lot of people timed out on. It's just a lot of cycles back and forth, and if your cardio is not up to par or if your shooting isn't really quite good, this is one that you're going to have some problems with. So I'm pretty good on both of those, but we'll have to see here if I'm quite good enough to get it all done in time. Here, we'll go ahead and take the second can out. This is going to be kind of just a tap in and go. So second can out and then first can back in. Again, classic sort of brutality style stage. The idea is to give you some reasonably difficult shooting challenges that you have to perform while substantially winded. You may notice, by the way, I have a couple of energy drink bottles in the elastic cummerbund pockets of my armor rig there. By the way, I'll just go ahead and do a reload. There's enough round count required here that unless you're pretty much perfectly clean, you're going to have to reload at some point on this stage. Anyway, the armored division, in addition to just how much weight you're carrying, also requires you to have a liter of water on you at all time, along with a fixed blade knife, medical kit that includes a tourniquet, and 90 rounds of rifle and pistol ammo, or 3 mags of rifle and pistol ammo. So here we go. I've got the last ammo can back in, and now it's just a question of, can I make the last couple of hits in time before I par out? The time limit for all the stages is 180 seconds, or 3 minutes. I've got those, and 3 more to go, and there it is. So didn't quite pull it off, but man, I came close. So total scoring here, you get a nice 60-second penalty for every target not engaged, which gives me a grand total of 320 seconds, but still actually reasonably competitive on that stage. Stage 3, mediocre bleed out spot, sponsored by FYC Armor and CVN Medical. This is there's always a medical stage at Finnish Brutality, as well as, of course, at Lynx Brutality. And they're always interesting. They're always a little bit different, but they're going to involve having to perform some sort of reasonably realistic medical task on the clock. So this is where I'm starting to get some malfunctions with the rifle. I have a few short strokes. Not sure if that's the magazine spring not able to kick rounds up fast enough. There, it does it again. I would continue to have problems with my magazines throughout the match. Now I have a double feed. You can see 2 rounds fall out there. This suggests to me that this is not a rifle problem. This is a magazine problem. And I'm, in retrospect, really kicking myself for not planning out these, not checking out the magazines better. All 3 of the ones I took were mags that had run fine for me in the past, but clearly I should have done a little more due diligence. Perhaps taken the new production American mags that Stanzel sends with the gun. But I didn't, so it is what it is. We have one last high-value shot here to clear the rifle, and once again, remove the mag, fire the 1 round in the chamber. The rifle is then completely empty, and the 180 does not apply. We then run to our comrade here, who has a pretty nasty broken leg there. We have to drag him into the medical bay and then grab his tourniquet and apply it. And this is a medical prosthetic complete with actual fake blood. So once you get the tourniquet tight enough, that arterial bleed will stop. Really cool to do a stage like this with a human actor and a proper medical training prosthetic like this, instead of just having a dummy. I had a little bit of trouble with the tourniquet myself here. It was tricky to get it tightened. I probably put it on in the wrong orientation. I should have flipped it over 180 when I started. But once I got it going, we're just going to push through, finish it off. I am now completely covered in fake blood, as is my rifle. But no worries, we go back out to the shooting bay and pretty much engage the same set of targets 1 more time. So there are 3 targets down there. Hit each of them once from each of the positions, and then you're finished. Now here's I had a really interesting, unusual problem. I hadn't run into this before. Turns out, while I was working on our medical victim, I accidentally managed to unlock the aim point. Right there, you can see I'm able to see that my dot's just bouncing all over the place when I'm looking through the optic, and I figure maybe it came loose, reach up to see what's going on, and that's when I noticed that the locking lever on that aim point mount was completely open. So fortunately, I was able to just crank it back closed, and my 0 came back. I don't know if it came back perfectly, but it came back well enough that I didn't really have any substantive trouble making the rest of the hits in the stage. So probably going to be swapping out that style of mount for something a little more secure in the future, because that was a first time for that sort of event. All right, stage 4, No Way Escape, sponsored by Valavia. They do drone services in Finland. And for this stage, they set us up with a drone Oh, by the way, you also have your hand chained on this stage with a big ol' heavy length of chain. They have a real drone that is carrying a cardboard drone target from a string, and the stage starts with you having 1 round in a shotgun, and you have to engage the drone target. There it comes, and I make a really good solid hit on it. Now, of course, that's close enough that if that had been a real FPS exploding drone, it probably would have killed me if it exploded that close, but this is still a match, not actual drone combat. We'll get closer to that in stage 10, so stick around for day 2 if you like the drone action. Anyway, the rest of this stage is moving through a series of basically barricade tunnels, engaging poppers as you can find them. They're not super obviously visible, so you do have to take some time to find them and engage them through the slots in the walls. The ROs are helpful here. The trick that we discovered is throwing that chain over the back of your neck so that it's not swinging quite as badly from your hands. My pistol here is a left-handed Laugo Remus, which is an even more expensive pistol than the rifle that I'm shooting, and it is fantastic. It gave me absolutely no issues through the entire match. It was very nice to shoot with. Honestly, I love this thing. It's a great pistol. I recognize how ludicrously expensive it is, but dang, if like this is absolutely my pistol of choice, and it worked great for me here. So I have that in a left-handed Battle Gnome holster. Got to know Battle Gnome through his work with Polinar and his work at Finnish Brutality. Very cool guy, very cool company. Makes a great solid retention holster for match use like this of the Laugo, both left and right-handed. There we go. That is all the plates. I also did really quite well on this stage, got a bonus for shooting down the drone, and ended up top quartile of the overall scores, which I'm very happy with. There are a lot of very talented competitors here at the match this year, as always. Oh. All right, and last up, stage 5. This is our last stage for day 1. Let's Mölkky, sponsored by C&G Holsters. This is a Finnish game that I had never heard of before that has some kind of interesting rules. You have 12 targets there, and each one of those target logs has a number on it. You throw one big log at the stack there, and you get a number of points equal to the number of logs you knock over, unless you only knock over one, in which case you get the number of points written on it. So that was 12 points for me because I knocked down everything. Your goal is to get to 50. The trick is you can't go above 50. So rules are a little complicated here. In between each throw, you have to make 2 hits on each of the pistol targets. There we go. So in a match situation like this, the way that they did the scoring is you have a 180-second part time, as with all of the stages. And you get a bonus for whatever your score is when time runs out. So if you get to the perfect 50, the time ends at whatever time you make your last pistol hits, and then you get a 50-second bonus. If you get yourself up to 49, for example, your score will be 180 seconds maximum par time minus 49. So there we go. For example, I managed to knock over just one and got myself 11 points for that. The goal here is it's really kind of like billiards. It's a matter of both luck and skill. You're trying to spread out the posts so that you can isolate 1 or 2 or 3 specific numbers. If you can get high numbers, it gives you a way to get a lot of points with a single knockdown. If you can get a low number isolated, then, well, you'll have to by the end. So I ended up here managing to get myself to 49 points in total, which meant that I would have to knock over only the 1 marked post. So it'll take me a few more minutes to get there. You also have to stand all of the targets back up. But you can see I'm starting to spread them out a little bit. So like I do, that 2 back there is going to bite me because I didn't notice that the 2 fell over. So go back, stand it back up. Having the 2 out by itself is really good tactically or strategically in the game because it gives me a way to get a small discrete number of points without so much random chance. Number of pistol rounds in this stage is totally dependent on how many throws you make and how fast you can go back and forth. So it's 4 hits per cycle, 2 on each target with no double taps allowed. My goal there had been to knock over the 10. Had I knocked over the 10, that would have given me a full 50, and I would have been done right there, which would have been great. Unfortunately, I knocked over the 9, and then it fell over, and I had to go stand it back up. Lost a bunch of time there, and I am now at 49 points. So I'm going to have to knock down just the number 1 post, which is really probably not going to be possible. And just about the time I go over to try and see how I can make that happen, I par out. But once again, I actually did pretty well. So day 1 was really pretty successful.
Oh, all right. That is the end of day 1 of Finnish Brutality. I am completely exhausted from 5 stages and 5 breacher special events, but we will be back again tomorrow. This actually went better than I thought it might. The rifle performed not perfectly, but pretty darn well. Pistol performed great. I performed not that badly. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Stay tuned. Check in tomorrow. We'll have stages 6 through 10 and the final scores from the match. Thanks for watching.